Hey folks, welcome back to the Worm Farm here. I'm Jim, and I've got an exciting video for you here today. Well, as exciting as a worm video can be. No, this is really exciting. There's a lot of work too, a lot of effort into it. Basically, what I did is I harvested castings, half the castings out of this bin and half the castings out of the big bin right behind you there. And I took the worms out of that one and put them into this one, cleaned out that other big bin because I've got some new worms to go in there. As you can see right here, live animals. Just got these worms in today. I'm going to show you what I did to harvest the castings. I'm going to show you what I did to prepare the brand new bin for these worms right here. European night crawlers, by the way. And so let's go and I'll show you what I did. This bin, affectionately called Moby, it's been around for, I'm going to say almost 2 years now. But what we're going to do is we're going to take this part here and pull it out. These are all 90% done castings. I'm going to sift these out. I'm not too worried about it because these are going to go in storage. Whatever worms might be left in here, we'll just feed on what's in here, but I don't think there's going to be any worms in here. I've already migrated them. I stopped feeding this about 2 months ago. They're probably all over on that side for sure. But simply, all we're going to do is take these castings out. This is going to be the bin that receives all the worms. Oop, there is a worm. Over there, buddy. All the worms from the other bin that is going to be completely removed. So those castings over there are going to come out, and those worms are going to come over to here and start a new bin over on the other side. Let me get these out real quick. This will be the easy part. Now, I'm not too worried about getting everything out of here because it's just going to be filled back up again anyway. And I don't have to worry about my European night crawlers getting mixed in here because they're going to go in the other bin. Something like that. We'll see how it goes. So, okay. We've got the castings pretty much out of here. As you can see, they're really dry. They're going to sift out nice and easy. All of these castings are going to go into storage for spring or whatever I decide to use them for. Okay, now we're going to switch everything around, go over to the other bin, get those castings out, put them into here. Now in this bin, probably about the same situation as the other bin. It's been in existence for a while. I've migrated all the worms out of this side over to this side, so there should not be too many, if any, worms in here at all. And we're just going to take these castings out, put them in. Oh, there's a worm. There's a worm. Okay, going to make a fibber out of me. There are some worms in here, but that's okay. We're going to sift these out. I'll get those worms out of there. But I want these castings. That corn cob, been there a while. Well, corn cobs are a slow food. These castings are ready for use. Yeah, there's still stuff in there. When I sift them out, these will be ready to use. But again, these are going to go into storage. I don't really need any castings other than, the occasional. I do sell castings locally, but I have plenty for that. The main goal is to remove everything from this bin because this is where the European night crawlers are going to make residence. And I want to keep them separated from the red wigglers. I want no mixing going on. Not that it would be a big deal at all, but The reason why I decided to start with the European night crawlers, they're a great composting worm, number one. And number two, at the farmer's market that I go to sell my vegetables and my honey and all of that, and my worm castings, I had a lot of folks asking me, "Do you sell worms for fishing?" Now, the red wiggler is a good worm for fishing in a slow-moving brook. I like them for trout. But if you're going out to a lake, they really don't have the motion and the size that the European night crawlers have. So besides my own fishing that I do, I'm going to go ahead and have those to offer for sale as well. A rock. I like to add all natural things to my bins. And you'll see, because once this is all cleaned out, I'm going to start this as a brand new bin. So you'll see how I go ahead, how I do it, not how to do it, how I do it, how I put together a bin. Okay, that part's done. Now I am going to clean this out entirely. I don't want any leftover cocoons or any worms, but I probably won't have that on video. All right, I'm going to get rid of these castings, and then we're going to take these worms and move them to the other bin. Okay, this part should be fun. We are going to take all of these worms and put them in here. And I'll probably go ahead and, well, no, I will go ahead and kind of fluff this bin up a little bit. It's been a while, although they don't seem too cakey. There's another beautiful corn cob and worms. Basically, we're just going to move these guys to a new home and prepare it for new worms. You know, I don't know. I'm sure I'm not doing the worms any harm, but it always bothers me whenever I have to dig into them. You worry about that one little gal that gets squished. All right, that was a lot less effort than I thought it was going to be. Good. And I will take this and clean this all out. Now, if I miss a cocoon or a worm, not a big deal. You know, I'll be able to find them later on and remove them to their proper home. But for now, I think this will do just fine. We'll go ahead and clean this out a little bit, but we'll be back in a minute. All right, let's get these worms into their new home. I've already added some pulpy wood chips in there. Add a little bit of leaves to the bottom just to kind of help soak up any moisture. Always add cardboard. And what these girls have been waiting for. Time to go to their new home. Now, I don't know how this is going to work out, but I am going to just dump them in there. Gently, of course. And try to get you girls in there too. I always feel like I'm going to hurt them, but I don't think it bothers them too much. Okay. Go. There you go. just kind of level this off. And you're home, girls. Now, I'm going to go ahead and give both sides of this a good feeding. And I think that they will be just fine. Don't think I'm going to have to worry about anybody trying to escape. I'm sure all these girls will find each other and get along just fine. Add some bedding to the top, because in all honesty, I could have probably removed those worms and sifted that, and it would have made some really good vermicompost. Castings were there. But that will be in time for another video. I'll wet that down, give them a good feeding, and we're good to go. Next step, wait for the worms to come, and we'll go ahead and get that other bin going. Now, it's important when you've got new worms coming to a new bin to prepare the bin for them a couple of days at least in advance. Now, I'm not real worried about it because I'm usually using natural materials. So the biology is going to be in the bin, starting today. It's not really, now if you're using like cardboard and paper to start your bin, yeah, you definitely want to get that started, well in advance. So I put a couple of old logs, branches, kind of pulpy, to give the bin kind of the fungal workings that the bin should have. And on the bottom, I layer in wood chips. Now this bucket here contains wood chips, biochar, a little bit of my pre-composted materials, and just for extra added measure, some eggshells. And I'll just kind of layer that on the bottom a little bit, spread it out. Now that doesn't look too inviting to a nice soft-skinned earthworm, so we are going to add something else here in a minute. Make it a little bit more hospitable to them. Not that the worms really are going to be affected by the wood chips that much. They are moist, wet, not real wet, obviously, but that'll give a good bedding. That'll break down over time. It'll also help to soak up any extra moisture that I put on the top. When it sinks to the bottom, gravity, they'll get soaked up by this, and the bacteria and the worms will help these break down into some fantastic castings. All right, so there's that. Let me throw the rest of these leaves out of this bucket. Now, this is my pre-compost. And if you go back, go to my timeline, go to my channel, go to the timeline, and look at how I do this. This is like the perfect worm bedding. Again, I like to be as natural with my worms as I possibly can. I think about, well, what do worms have? What do they live in? And basically, you're looking at it. This is all natural material, lots of good biology in here. The worms are going to be ready to rock and roll right from the time that they go in. Now, okay, I mentioned a little bit about cardboard. Yep, I put cardboard in it too. This is shredded, cross-shredded. And as much as worms like natural things that they would find in the wild, worms love cardboard too. It's a good carbon source for them. It's a good comfortable bedding. Now this, of course, I will wet down before they arrive. But that'll be a good way to also soak up any extra moisture that's in here. And last but not least, if you know me and you know the way I do worms, what's it got to have? Leaves. Leaves are perfect composting stuff. These are just shredded leaves from outside. Again, I will wet all of this down. But the bacteria is going to eat these eat these worms. No, I hope not. It's going to eat these leaves pretty darn quick. Break it down, and then the worms, well, they're going to eat that bacteria. But the leaves make a fantastic bedding for them. All natural. Full of everything that a worm could want. Now, as I wet this down, this will level out and sink down a little bit. But I've got a couple of days before the worms arrive. I've got plenty of time to get this all filled with good moisture. Make it a really good habitat for the worms. What am I missing here? What am I not telling you about this? Basically, folks, the way that I do a worm bin when I started off, go as natural as possible. Now, if you don't have any of this, yeah, you can use cardboard, you can use newspaper, you can use pretty much anything you want. The worms are going to, the biology is going to adapt that to be a good habitat for the worms. But this right here, we'll have other videos watching the progress of how this goes along with the European night crawlers. I'll show you, in videos how this will break down, what the worms look like, and we'll go from there. Next step is going to be to add worms in here, but that's not going to be for a couple of days. And one other thing that I'm going to do, I did just add a little bit of coffee grounds and some of my dry sifted cow manure, but I'm also going to add that food that we made up for them. That way, bacteria will have time to start working on this more than it already has. But the worms will already be able to search out and find this food. Not that there isn't already plenty of other food in there for them, but they'll be able to find that. Since I'm going to kind of spread the worms out, when I add them, I'm going to put the food in two different sections of the bin. Just so they can find it easier. And remember how I was talking about how when the cell walls break down, when you freeze all the greens and the moisture comes down? Well, all that moisture went right down into this cardboard. Wasn't a whole lot, but there was quite a bit, and I'm going to use that and just add that in. That way, anywhere that these worms go in this bin when they arrive, they'll be able to find something to chew on. And just to be on the safe side, I got my handy dandy thermometer, just to see if it does happen to heat up a little bit. Got 3 days before the worms come. I'm sure if it heats up, it'll go back down. Should be just fine though. All right, exciting moment. We are going to do a worm unboxing. Now, I've never done a worm unboxing before on video, but we're going to do one right now. Now, these are European night crawlers, and they have had a rough trip. When they got sent up here from down south, okay, now here's who they came from. Mimi'sWorms.com. The temperatures were okay. Temperatures were all right. And they came up in the middle of freezing cold temperatures. So I'm sure they're going to be just fine. They're packaged nicely. I'm sure they'll be just fine. Ooh, look at that. Somebody took time and actually sewed that puppy together. All right, well, we will make do and try to undo this. Yeah, I've never been real good about undoing sewing stuff. I've got chickens, and I'll tell you what, every time I go to open the bag, if I've ever opened a bag of grain or chicken food, there's only one way to do it the right way. I usually grab the wrong end, but I think I might grab a pair of scissors. So, through the magic of video, I'll be right back. I wonder if my knife will work. No, my knife's not going to get that. I don't think scissors are going to get that. Well, folks down at Mimi's, they sure know how to package things up, that's for sure. I'm sure there's got to be an easy way to do this, but I don't know what it is. I hate to cut the bag. Maybe I should read the directions. Now, I know a lot of folks are going to laugh at me and say, hey, you're supposed to do it this way. I don't know. Go ahead, put it down in the comments. What's the right way to open one of these bags? Not even sure if I'm doing that right. Ah, I'm going to rip the bag. I'm a recycler. I will use this bag for something. I will advertise Mimi's Worms. Of course, I don't know what will be in the bag at that time, but it'll still advertise, right? Da, 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 da. If all else fails, use force. All right, got some nice peat moss in there. I'm not smelling any dead. Ooh, I can feel worms. I'm not smelling any dead worms. I'm not sure how well the camera's going to pick this up. Oh, there's a lot of worms in here. And they definitely don't feel dead. Thank goodness. Good job, folks at Mimi's. Oh, nice. Nice. I know you girls are cold. I'll get you into a nice warm place right now. But anyway, as you can see, Mimi's Worms, European night crawlers. Let's get them down there into their new home. This is the new home for the Mimi's crew. Just remove this top portion here. And everybody knows it's important to add moisture. Now this bin has been set up for, set it up on Wednesday. It's Saturday, so there's already food that's been added. I think we've seen that. So this will make a nice home for the worms. Nice and moist for them. This is nice room temperature water. See, the temperature inside the bin right now is at about 64 degrees. It should be fine for them. Now, as I believe I showed in the other beginning part of this video, they've got food right here and they've got food over here. So I'm going to try to split these worms up a little bit so they're not all in one spot. I don't know. I've heard different stories, but I've never seen a difference. Some say put them all in together. Some say, you know, not to split them up. We'll see what we can do. Watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat, or maybe a worm. Looks like they all came out nicely. Oh yeah, that's a good bunch of worms in there. So we'll put you guys, I know you guys are all tight in there, I'm not going to break you apart. And we'll put you guys over here. And we'll just spread that peat moss that I'm sure they've grown accustomed to over the last treacherous trip, 4 days. And look at that. They're looking good. See if I can get a better picture of you guys. Okay, folks, I think they're set up well enough. I'm going to spray them down a little bit, get a little bit more moisture in there. Okay, that was a fun video to make. Folks, I think one of the other things I want to kind of, let folks know about, it's December here right now. If you want worms in the springtime, now's the time to go get them. No, this video was not sponsored by anybody, but a good place to get them. Go to mimisworms.com. Thanks for watching, folks. Talk to you later.